There is a creature alive right now, somewhere deep in a frozen forest, that has not eaten in 11 days. It is not sick, it is not old, it is not injured. It is simply a lynx, and this is just Tuesday. Picture the scene, a vast expanse of boreal forest stretching to the horizon, buried beneath 3 feet of snow. The temperature has dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius. The wind moves through the pine trees like a blade. And somewhere in that blinding white silence, a ghost cat is padding through the darkness, burning the last of its muscle mass just to stay warm, searching desperately for a meal that may not come. Most people, if they ever think of the lynx at all, imagine something magnificent, a sleek, silver-furred predator with burning amber eyes and tufted ears, moving like smoke through the trees, powerful, mysterious, untouchable. But the truth, the real truth, is far more brutal than that image suggests. The lynx is not an apex predator. It is not at the top of anything. It is a mid-sized cat caught in one of the most merciless ecological traps in the natural world. A specialist hunter wired by evolution to depend almost entirely on a single prey animal, and that prey animal is in freefall. When the prey collapses, and it does cyclically, predictably, cruelly, the lynx starves. Not occasionally, not rarely, routinely, catastrophically. Mothers watch their kittens die. Adults waste away to skeletons. Entire regional populations crash within a single season. This is not bad luck. This is the life of a lynx. Spring arrives in the boreal forest, but it arrives reluctantly, and it does not stay long. Somewhere beneath the roots of a fallen spruce tree, in a hollow barely large enough to call a den, a female lynx gives birth. The kittens arrive blind, helpless, and weighing less than a bag of sugar. Their eyes won't open for another 2 weeks. Their legs cannot support them. They are entirely dependent on a mother who is herself exhausted, underfed, and already being hunted by time. She may have given birth to 2 kittens. She may have given birth to 4. But here is the first brutal arithmetic of lynx existence. How many she gave birth to depends almost entirely on how well she ate last winter. During years of prey abundance, litters are large. During crash years, when her primary food source has collapsed, she may give birth to only 1 kitten, or sometimes none at all. Evolution has already decided the value of her offspring before they take their first breath, and the dangers begin immediately. The den is not safe. It is just less dangerous than everywhere else. Ravens and great horned owls can take a kitten in seconds. Wolverines and wolves patrol the same forest. Even the cold itself is a predator. A brief gap in the mother's warmth can kill a newborn in minutes. For the first few weeks, the mother barely leaves. She nurses, she warms, she guards. But she is not eating. Her body is running on reserves that were already thin. Every hour she spends with her kittens is an hour she is not hunting. Every hour she hunts is an hour her kittens are exposed. There is no good option. There is only the least terrible one. By the time these kittens open their eyes for the first time, the world that greets them is already indifferent to whether they survive. The kittens grow, but growing is not the same as learning. And in the boreal forest, ignorance is lethal. At around 2 months old, the mother begins to teach, not with patience, but with necessity. She brings back injured prey, live when possible, so the kittens can practice the kill. Watch how they fail, watch them pounce clumsily, misjudge distances, lose the animal in the snow. Their instincts are present, but raw, untuned, and every failed attempt is a lesson the forest may not give them twice. The primary lesson, the lesson that will define whether these animals live or die, is how to hunt snowshoe hare. This sounds simple. It is not. The snowshoe hare is one of the most evasive prey animals on the planet. It can turn on a coin, accelerate to 30 kilometers per hour, and disappear into brush so dense a lynx cannot follow. It changes color with the seasons. It learns the scent of predators. It has been co-evolving with the lynx for millions of years, and in many ways it has won. The mother teaches them to stalk, low, slow, each paw placed with surgical precision. She teaches them to wait, sometimes for hours in temperatures that would kill a human, watching a single spot in the snow. She teaches them to read wind direction, to approach from downhill, to close the distance in a burst of speed that cannot be sustained for more than a few seconds. And she teaches them fear, the scent of wolf, the silhouette of a great horned owl against the moonlight, the distant sound of human machinery, snowmobiles, chainsaws, the particular crack of a trap being set. But here is the cruelest part of this education. Even learning perfectly is not enough. Because what the mother cannot teach them, what no amount of skill or instinct can compensate for, is the crash. The year the hare population collapses, and there is simply nothing to hunt, no matter how good you are. By 9 months, the young lynx are beginning to hunt independently. They are not ready. They never really are. But the forest doesn't wait for readiness. Imagine walking 15 to 30 kilometers every single day through chest-deep snow in temperatures that punish each breath, and doing it with no guarantee of eating. This is an average day for a lynx. Their home ranges are enormous, up to 300 square kilometers for a single adult male. Not because they enjoy roaming, because they have to, because their prey is sparse, scattered, and constantly moving, because standing still means starving. The lynx is built for snow. Its oversized paws act like natural snowshoes, distributing weight across the surface so it doesn't sink with every step. Its long legs elevate its body above the drifts. It is, in this narrow sense, physically suited to its environment. But adaptation does not mean ease. It just means the struggle is possible, not comfortable. Its diet is, by ecological necessity, almost entirely snowshoe hare. In good years, years of hare abundance, a lynx might eat every 2 or 3 days. In bad years, it might go 2 weeks without a successful hunt, and hare populations crash every 8 to 11 years with the regularity of a slow-motion catastrophe. The lynx cannot prevent it. It cannot adapt around it in real time. It can only endure, or die. During these crash years, the lynx will attempt to supplement its diet. Grouse, squirrels, voles. The occasional deer, fawn, or caribou calf if desperate enough. But these alternatives are not sufficient. They cannot compensate. The caloric math simply doesn't work. The lynx grows lean, then gaunt, then skeletal. It moves more slowly, which makes it a worse hunter, which means it eats even less. The spiral is merciless, and there is no floor to it, only the ground. There are moments in a lynx's life that compress everything, every hardship, every fragile margin of survival, into a single devastating instant. The crash year. A mother with 3 kittens, moving through a forest stripped of hare. She hunts for 18 hours and returns empty. She watches 1 kitten stop moving on the 2nd day. By the end of the week, only 1 remains, and it is barely alive. She will carry on. She has no choice, but something in her behavior shifts, hardens. The forest has taken everything it is going to take. Then there are wolves. Lynx are not dominant predators. Where wolves and cougars exist, lynx are frequently displaced from kills, driven from territory, and occasionally killed outright. A lynx that has just made its first successful kill in 9 days can have that meal taken by a wolf pack in under a minute. It happened. It happens constantly. It will happen again tomorrow. And then there are humans. Lynx have been trapped for their fur for centuries. Their dense silver-gray coats were once among the most prized in the global fur trade. Millions were killed. In some regions, they were eliminated entirely. Today, legal trapping continues in parts of Canada, Russia, and the United States. Occasionally, a lynx wanders out of protected wilderness into an area where it has no legal protection, and it disappears into the machinery of commerce. There are also roads. Every year, lynx are struck and killed by vehicles crossing highways that now bisect their ancient migration corridors. They don't understand infrastructure. They only understand the direction they need to move. And climate change is doing something particularly sinister to the lynx's world. As temperatures rise, the snowpack, the very thing the lynx is built to navigate, is becoming less predictable. In some regions, rain-on-snow events create a hard ice crust that the lynx's wide paws were never designed for. Meanwhile, other species, deer, coyotes, are moving north into lynx territory, bringing new competition and new predators. The lynx cannot adapt fast enough. Evolution doesn't work on that timescale. Here's the bitter irony at the center of the lynx's existence. This cat, this struggling, starving, endlessly tested cat, is a keystone species. Without it, the boreal forest loses its balance. Hare populations, unchecked, explode. They overbrowse the understory, stripping vegetation that dozens of other species depend on. The forest changes. Smaller predators lose cover. Songbird populations collapse. The cascade is long and deep and devastating. The lynx holds this whole system together, quietly, invisibly, without recognition. And what does the forest give it in return? Starvation cycles, competition, habitat loss, the slow erosion of everything it needs to survive. There is no fairness in ecology. There is only function. And the lynx is functional at an extraordinary personal cost. It exists in a permanent state of sacrifice, maintaining a balance it will never benefit from, stabilizing an ecosystem that will not save it when the prey disappears. It gives everything. It receives nothing. The Canada lynx is listed as threatened in the contiguous United States. The Iberian lynx, its distant cousin in Spain and Portugal, came within a breath of extinction in the early 2000s with fewer than 100 individuals remaining. It has since recovered, Partly, but the word recovered does a lot of heavy lifting when a species is still hanging by a thread. The Eurasian lynx, the largest of the lynx species, has been extirpated from vast portions of its historical range across Western Europe. Reintroduction programs exist, but they are slow, contested, and politically complicated. Farmers oppose them, hunters lobby against them. And the animals themselves, dropped into fragmented landscapes, often struggle to establish territories or find mates. Should humans intervene? The debate is uncomfortable. Some argue that without intensive management, the lynx will continue its retreat. Others argue that managed reintroductions create false populations, dependent, fragile, ultimately doomed, and that we are simply delaying an inevitable outcome while spending conservation capital that could go elsewhere. Neither side has a clean answer, and the lynx, somewhere in a frozen forest, continues to walk, indifferent to our debates, unaware that its fate is being decided in conference rooms and government hearings. The one it never stops fighting, the lynx's world spans the northern hemisphere, but it is shrinking from every edge. The Canada lynx roams the boreal forests of Alaska, Canada, and small pockets of the northern contiguous United States, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Maine. Its range follows the snowshoe hare's range almost exactly, which tells you everything you need to know about how tightly its fate is bound to one animal. The Eurasian lynx is the most widespread, found across Scandinavia, Russia, Central Asia, and parts of China. But widespread is misleading. Its populations are fragmented, isolated, separated by highways and cities, and cleared farmland. A lynx in Poland cannot reach a lynx in Germany. The genetic corridors have been severed. The Iberian lynx clings to a handful of protected areas in southern Spain and Portugal. Its entire world is a few hundred square kilometers of scrubland, surrounded by roads, farms, and the expanding footprint of human settlement. It is a species living in a cage it cannot see, and across all these ranges the same forces are at work. Deforestation, road fragmentation, prey collapse, climate shift, illegal hunting. These are not distant threats. They are current events, happening now, measured in disappearing individuals, contracting ranges, populations falling below the threshold of viability. The home of the lynx is not a sanctuary. It never was. It is just the last ground it has left. Every night, somewhere in the world, a lynx is walking. It has been walking for hours. Its paws are cold. Its stomach is empty. The last successful hunt was days ago, and the scent trails it has followed have gone cold or vanished. The forest is silent in the way that only truly hostile places are silent. Not peaceful, but indifferent. Utterly, completely indifferent. This animal will not be celebrated. It will not be seen. The vast majority of people on this planet will live their entire lives without ever knowing a lynx existed in their region, let alone disappeared from it. It asks for nothing from us. Not recognition, not gratitude, not even coexistence. It only asks to be left with enough snow, enough prey, enough forest to do what it has done for millions of years. And even that most minimal of requests, we are increasingly unable to honor. The lynx is not tragic in the way we usually mean the word. It does not feel sorry for itself. It does not rage against the injustice of its existence. It simply continues because continuing is the only thing it knows. One more step through the snow, one more cold night, one more dawn that brings no guarantees. But we should feel the tragedy of it. We should sit with the discomfort of knowing that one of the most extraordinary, finely tuned, irreplaceable creatures on this planet is being slowly erased. Not by dramatic catastrophe, but by the ordinary, grinding accumulation of our presence. The lynx has survived ice ages. It has survived mass extinctions. It has survived 10,000 years of human civilization pressing against its forests from every direction. Whether it survives us, fully, completely in the wild where it belongs, is a question we are still answering. And right now, the answer does not look kind.